July 2nd, 1881, Washington, D.C. President James A. Garfield, just 4 months into office, is shot in a train station by a disgruntled office seeker. In our timeline, he lingers for 79 painful days before dying from infection. An avoidable death, made inevitable by primitive medicine and disguised doctors. But what if that day had ended differently? What if President Garfield had survived the bullet? What if his presidency hadn't been cut short and America had gotten the visionary leader history barely got to know? And with that, my friends, welcome to another episode of
What if Gore got elected instead of George Walker Bush? How were we protected for the coronavirus? What about 9/11? Who founded the KKK? Why Hayes instead of Tilden? Did all of them get away? You gotta ask history. You wanna ask history? We have to ask history. Guys, let us ask history. You gotta ask history. You wanna ask history? We have to ask history. Guys, let us ask history.
a shift in fate, the day Garfield survived. In our alternate timeline, July 2nd, 1881 doesn't mark the beginning of the end, but the start of a political revolution. After Charles Couture fired 2 shots at Garfield, doctors rushed to his aid. But here's where history diverges. This time, Dr. Willard Bliss does something unimaginable. He steps aside. Instead of aggressively probing Garfield's wounds with unsterilized fingers, another physician, perhaps influenced by Joseph Lister's theories on antiseptic surgery, insists on sterile procedures. A clean operation locates and safely removes the bullet from Garfield's back. The infection that killed him in real life never takes hold. The aftermath, Couture's fate and the nation's reaction. Charles Couture, arrested at the scene, still declares, "I am stalwart and Arthur is president now." But he quickly learns that his plan has failed. In our new timeline, Couture is not executed in 1882, but tried and imprisoned, his madness made evident. He becomes a national example of the dangers of extremism and political entitlement. The nation, especially in the North, rallies around Garfield, who becomes a living symbol of resilience. The South, still recovering from Reconstruction, views his survival with awareness. Many Southerners had preferred the less reform-minded Chester A. Arthur. But Garfield's near-death experience only strengthens his resolve to tackle corruption and heal the nation's divisions. Reform on the horizon, civil service and beyond. Surviving an assassin's bullet turns Garfield into a man on a mission. His biggest focus? Civil service reform. In real life, the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act passed under Arthur in 1883. But in our timeline, Garfield himself introduces and signs it, driven by a personal vendetta against the patronage system that nearly cost him his life. By mid-1882, the Pendleton Act becomes law, creating a merit-based system for federal jobs and establishing the Civil Service Commission. Garfield is hailed as a reformer and champion of the people, reshaping the expectations of the presidency. Immigration, tariffs, and the Chinese Exclusion Act. Would Garfield have signed the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882? Yes, but likely with more hesitation. Garfield had expressed concern about labor tensions, but also valued civil rights. He might have urged Congress to revise the bill, possibly shortening the exclusion period or including provisions for Chinese already residing in the US. On the Immigration Act of 1882, which imposed a head tax and barred certain categories of immigrants, Garfield, ever the moderate, would likely have signed it as a compromise, balancing labor concerns with civil liberties. The Tariff Act of 1883, which made modest reductions, would also receive his support, though Garfield favored lower tariffs. He might push for more aggressive reforms in a second term. the new navy and military modernization. Garfield, like Arthur, understood the importance of modernizing America's military. In his second year, he begins investing in steel warships, initiating the foundation of what would become the new navy. His interests in technology and science makes him a natural supporter of naval innovation, and under his leadership, the US begins to shake off its post-Civil War military stagnation. Supreme Court appointments: Blatchford and Gray. Garfield had the opportunity to shape the judiciary as well. In this alternate history, he still appoints Justice Samuel Blatchford in 1882 and Horace Gray in 1881, maintaining the historical trajectory of the court. These appointments help solidify a moderate to conservative balance that influences cases for decades. The election of 1884, Garfield versus Cleveland. With a strong first term and widespread public support, Garfield secures the Republican nomination in 1884. His opponent? Grover Cleveland, the Democratic governor of New York. Cleveland runs on an anti-corruption, small government platform, but it's harder to contrast himself against a sitting president who already cleaned up Washington. In a tight race, Garfield wins re-election, narrowly defeating Cleveland thanks to his reforms, economic stability, and a renewed sense of national purpose. Garfield's second term: Consolidation and Legacy. In his second term, 1885 to 1889, Garfield builds on his achievements, expands civil service protections, pushes moderate tariff reform, continues modernizing the Navy, begins early antitrust discussions, laying groundwork for the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, urges racial reconciliation, though facing opposition in the South. While not radical, his presidency marks a steady shift toward modern governance, scientific administration, and ethical leadership. The long-term impact. A president remembered. Had Garfield lived, he would likely be remembered not as a tragic footnote, but as the bridge between Abraham Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt. His vision of government based on merit and reason would influence generations. His survival might have delayed or even prevented Grover Cleveland's presidency, reshaping the Democratic Party's trajectory and possibly the entire Gilded Age dynamic. Garfield's early embrace of civil service reform, naval modernization, and a moderate but firm executive role would set new standards for the presidency in the 20th century. Conclusion: James A. Garfield had one of the brightest minds to ever enter the White House. A Civil War hero, a professor of classical languages, and a man of deep moral conviction. He was taken too soon. But in this alternate history, he survives, thrives, and transforms. What do you think? Write your opinion and version of the story in the comments below. Please be polite and kind. If you want to know what would have happened if Lincoln survived the assassination, click on the video on the left. Thanks for watching.